We have a final in the Auburn-Georgia game for this season. 6 for the Auburn Tigers and 27 for the Georgia Bulldogs. What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Touchdowns to Home Runs post-game show. Today we got the post-game show for the Auburn Tigers, the number 7 Auburn Tigers taking on the number 4 Georgia Bulldogs. I just want to start this video off with an apology to all the Georgia fans out there that I doubted for this game. If you watched my SEC picks video, you know I picked Auburn in this game. I thought Auburn was coming in the better team. Georgia had a real shaky start versus Arkansas last year, and they're playing with Stetson Bennett, who is technically, if you can look at it, their 4th-string quarterback because you have J.B. Newman opt out. JT Daniels is hurt. They start with DeJuan Mathis in the Arkansas game, and then they bring in Stetson Bennett. I didn't think he was that good, but boy, did he show me up. Now, he did play an absolutely amazing game, a game that's like making me write home like an KJ Costello game last week. Speaking of KJ Costello, I'm pretty sure that Mississippi State just lost to Arkansas. Yep, final in Starkville, 21 Arkansas, 14 Mississippi State. That's something that Mississippi State and Georgia fans can both vouch for, is that Arkansas is no doormat team this year. They're no team that you can just go in and have an easy win against them. Georgia was losing at halftime, and Mississippi State just lost to Arkansas. So Arkansas not a guaranteed win this year. Now back to Stetson Bennett. He didn't have an absolutely amazing performance, but he did what he needed to do. He did what Georgia needed him to do to be able to win this game and put them in a situation to win this game. And boy, did they win this game. 27-6. Auburn doesn't even score a touchdown. Bo Nix threw for 21 for 40 for 177 yards. No touchdowns and 1 interception. And you had Stetson Bennett throw for 17 for 28, 240 yards, 8.6 average per attempt, and 1 touchdown. But that's all you need when you had this rushing attack for Georgia. Man, they were on today. Zamir White being the lead back, 19 carries for 88 yards, 4.6 average with 2 TDs and a long of 17. You also had James Cook had taken a lot of carries out there. He had 5 carries for 41 yards, 8.2 average. Kendall Milton, 6 carries for 30 yards. That offensive line just bullied Auburn's defensive line. There's no other way to put it. That Georgia offensive line is something special. Bennett had all the time in the world to complete passes to his receivers. Leading receiver was Jackson with 9 receptions for 147 yards. Then you had George Pickens with only 2 receptions, who's probably their best wide receiver, for 26 yards, but he did catch a touchdown for the Bulldogs. It was just a rough game for Arkansas offensively. First of all, Bo Nix did not play the way that Bo Nix can play. I'm really high on Bo Nix. I was really high on Bo Nix. He just had a really rough game, like 19 incompletions for him, and he just had some real ugly throws. And not all of it is his fault. Obviously, part of it is definitely him. He's definitely got to clean some stuff up on that offensive side of the ball, but the offensive line was not blocking that Georgia defensive line. They were bull rushing them over, and he was getting pressure as soon as that ball hit his hands. That Georgia defensive line, and really that Georgia off defense all day, was on. They were on. Their secondary was on point. I think LeCount got taken out for a targeting call. It was a bit questionable, but in my opinion, he hit him in the head. A lot of people, targeting is such a sensitive topic in college football, especially. It's different than NFL. I don't know if I like the call or not, so I'm not even going to talk about that. But that secondary for Georgia was absolutely on today. Receiving-wise, Auburn did not play that well receiving. Seth Williams, who's their leading receiver, he had the opportunities. Georgia covered him really tightly. It took Auburn a while to actually get the ball to him and get the ball into his hands. He had a chance for a touchdown, but the ground caused the ball to come out on one of them. He landed. He had a touchdown, but he dropped it. It was a bit disappointing. I'm a huge Seth Williams fan, so I love watching him play. He only went for 3 receptions for 34 yards today. Tank Bigsby, the freshman 5-star running back, had the most receptions for Auburn, having 7 receptions for 68 yards. And he was also the lead back for Auburn today. 8 carries for 31 yards. You were not going to win any football game when your leading rusher rushes for 31 yards and your leading receiver rushes for 68 yards. Never, ever, ever are you going to win a game unless the other team literally doesn't score any points and you somehow put some points on the board. But you're definitely not winning any SEC game with that. That is not. You definitely got to clean that up if you are the Auburn Tigers, who came off of a good game against Kentucky. I picked Auburn. I was very high on Auburn going into this game. I like what I saw from last week, and I didn't like what I saw from Georgia the week before. But boy, was I wrong. Georgia came in here, and they restored order. They showed the rest of the SEC what Georgia is this season, and that just because they lost Jamie Newman doesn't mean that this team is out of playoff contention. I spoke last week on how Florida fans should be thrilled because it looks like they're in charge of the East this year. I don't know where I rank Florida versus Georgia right now. Those are two good teams. I'm a South Carolina fan, so I watched Florida play South Carolina today. It was actually kind of a close game towards the end, but Florida did end up winning. That Florida offense is very good. Defensively, there's still some things to fix up. Like, they let our offense score 24 points. And if Georgia's offense is able to establish that run game, they're going to be running all over Florida's defense. So they're definitely going to have to step up because that's the big game. That's the game that really determines everything. You got the big Georgia versus Florida game this year. That could go either way. I'm so excited for that game. Those are two teams that I don't like. I don't like Georgia. I don't like Florida. But as an SEC fan, as a college football fan in general, those are games that you just live for, and I cannot wait to watch that this year. There's just so much on the line this year. Georgia goes on to play Tennessee next week, and let me just check to see who the Tigers play. They go on to play Arkansas next week, who's coming off a win off of Mississippi State. So Georgia, the 2-0 Bulldogs, go and take on the 2-0 Tennessee Volunteers. That game is in Knoxville, I'm pretty sure. No, it's at home. It's in Sanford Stadium for the Bulldogs, but then they go on and play Alabama in Alabama. They got a tough slate starting with this Auburn game. Then they go play Tennessee, and then they got Alabama. So it's a rough slate for Georgia. But after today, after seeing what Stetson Bennett was able to do, you don't need him to be a star. I think that helps a lot for Georgia, that you don't need Stetson Bennett to go and be a star player for this team. You just need him to do the right things to be able to win the game, and that's what he did today. So kudos to him. He just did his job, and he is a huge reason why Georgia was able to win this game today. But on that Auburn side of the ball, fix things up on offense. That was a big struggle, and defensively, you need to get more pressure on the quarterback. There's no question about that. So Auburn goes on to play Arkansas next week. Then you got South Carolina in South Carolina the 17th, and then after that they go to Ole Miss. So they got an easier slate compared to what other teams have, but this is a time for Auburn to really settle in and get an offense established and everything before you go on, and you have to play LSU, you have to play Mississippi State, Tennessee, Alabama, Texas A&M. Those are their last 5 games of the season, so those are definitely not an easy last 5 games by any means. So they're going to have to use these 3 games to really work on a lot of stuff if they want to stay in this SEC West contention. But Georgia, you have a guaranteed number 1 in the SEC right now. I think Alabama is showed that they are the best team in the SEC right now. Georgia and Florida, in my opinion, are tied for second right now, and we're just going to have to see how Georgia plays against Tennessee next week before I can really make a decision on who I think is better between those two teams. But final score, Auburn 6, Georgia 27. The Bulldogs win the game. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Definitely drop a sub down below for more of these post-game videos, and I do weekly SEC picks, so definitely stick around for that. Leave a comment, like the video, and thanks for watching, and come back next time.